prices she has to.
I thought you were
prices
good.
up a little
with
bit.
her?
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
Yeah, here you go.
Oh.
Just the way it
She was
looks.
just doing it to be funny.
Cupcake
Oh,
Janelle.
okay.
There you go.
Sweet.
Chocolate. Those are so good.
Did everyone?
I may have to take one.
Later.
Chocolate I can.
This will be like a later thing, probably.
Greg, you're holding out? You're resisting?
Yeah.
What?
I don't think that's stuff anymore.
Who is this new you? I
know.
don't like it. You're not as fun.
Well, I am.
It doesn't have anything to do with cupcakes.
Has nothing- Yeah,
Tell her the truth.
that's right. Nothing to do with cupcakes.
Okay, I think everyone saw what Greg sent out, so if not, we have some copies, I think. But it was all emailed, it's in the Dropbox. I'm working on your Dropbox too. I told him on last Friday about it, so I saw your email though.
He's invited.
Good, okay, so we got that all straightened. Okay, does Lou wanna lead since he has all the edits, or how do you want to?
Well, yeah, can I just go back to M1 before we launch into that?
Yeah.
That
That's where we're
infinite list and,
Well-
okay. I have a lot of what you would consider trivial edits, and I can take care of all of
That's
them.
okay,
The
just-
problem is it was a read-only copy and I couldn't change it.
I understand. I
Okay.
just need to know what you want.
And that's,
You have to save it on your desktop as another one.
pardon?
You just save it to yours and then you can make any.
I couldn't edit the version I got from him. It
Well,
said
what you do is
read-only.
You download it to your laptop, to your desktop,
or
and then you
my-
can edit it.
Save
Okay.
it as a
Or at
copy.
the
Well,
top, it'll say.
To save you the trouble.
And that's
I mean,
okay.
We're talking about inconsistencies, sometimes periods, sometimes not, sometimes capitalized, sometimes not, misplaced commas.
I haven't grammared it.
No, I'll do it for you,
I
and I've
appreciate
spent
that.
quite a bit of time doing it.
All
But,
right.
but there are some things that are not edits that you and I may have to have a
Okay,
conversation
that's-
about.
All right.
And they get into,
Where do you want to start?
the primary thing is some doctrine that you did in the landscape part.
Okay.
That changed it from the original document, and I disagree, okay?
Okay.
So if we go to additional requirements under landscaping,
Additional requirements under landscaping. Okay.
okay.
Under
Originally,
number one,
under one, area requirements, okay?
1740-070.
And it's area requirements. Originally, it says detention basins shall not be included as part of the landscape area,
Right,
period.
right.
And then you put unless landscaped and a stormwater maintenance agreement is recorded on the property. That suggests that we're allowing the detention basin to be part of the landscape area.
Yeah,
which
we
is-
talked about that last week.
Well, I wasn't here last week,
Well, last time you were here, we talked about that.
and we decided, no, it's not part of the landscaped
Oh,
area.
that's not what I remember.
No, the landscaped area has plantings in it.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't-
decided-
you-
no, hold on.
you
We
don't-
decided that if the detention basin was planted or.
With what?
For the perimeter of the detention basin
If it's
planted.
landscape.
No, the perimeter is not the detention basin. We're talking the detention basin where water is put, where you don't have an irrigation system.
But we decided if they wanted to have a xeriscape or a desert scape.
In a
or-
detention basin,
Yes. that they-
then you're right back to rocks.
Yes, but they have to have shrubs in them, they have to have all
In
of
a
that.
detention basin,
Well,
with
the
the-
perimeter, the surrounding.
that's the important
I
thing.
thought we were all on the same page.
Oh, no, the detention basin is something that not likely they're gonna put an irrigation system in.
No, they don't have to have an irrigation system.
The
They can
landscape,
have-
the
they can-
landscape plan does have an irrigation system in it.
Right, but it can have a drip system to those shrubs, it can have things like
You're-
that. Like, hold on, listen, Watson's site plan on 2000, they landscaped those detention basins, and that is what we had decided moving forward, and what Matt had suggested.
He has,
moving
no.
forward.
There's two things. You haven't looked at that plan very carefully. The detention basin has regular gravel. The perimeter of the detention basin has decorative rocks and landscaping.
Yeah, and why would we not
So-
accept that?
Perimeter of the detention basin and the detention basin are not the same thing.
Right.
I don't care about landscaping the perimeter. That's fine. But when you start saying, I'm gonna landscape the actual detention basin, that's a different story.
But why can't they have gravel in the base and have decorative rock up the top where we see?
Why can't they put decorative grasses on the slopes and then maintain them?
problem because water goes through.
So on the slopes, you're gonna have an irrigation system.
You don't have to, you can put decorative rock.
But then where are the plants? Remember,
You can put shrubs and decorative rock.
without an irrigation system,
You can have an irrigation
how do the shrubs survive without an irrigation system?
They do it over in the industrial park, they have a desert scape that isn't watered, they're desert plants. But they can throw a drip line.
I think we ought to make a distinction between the perimeter of the basin and the basin.
But remember, and Greg might remember this more than what Matt told us, Matt had real hesitation about that landscape ordinance and the detention basin not counting toward the open space. And do you
Who's
remember, Matt is at the city
I
engineer.
think what drove that was because it's so shallow, the water table's so high over the Watson property.
They have to expand
They
it.
have to
so
expand
big.
it, and it has to be much more shallow.
But
And that's why we're including that part as part of the,
well, Watson's is
The
an
area.
example because it got stuck in the middle, but
right, that's true.
in general, Matt is concerned that if we don't include detention basins as part of the open space, that we'll run into this same issue over and over and over.
Okay, but you open yourself up to somebody coming in, their whole landscape plan is the detention basin,
Yeah, similar to Watson's subdivision.
which is not accomplishing what we want in terms of screening.
But if they want to count it towards 10%, they have landscape. Why do we care?
But that doesn't provide the visual
How to
screening
maintain
from
it.
the street.
Well, right here is, number 2 says visual landscaping prescribed by the planning
I know
commission
that.
to
And
accomplish
what I'm
other
saying
requirements.
is, normally they don't, most of the time, they don't put the detention basin between the street and the building. Usually it's on the side or the
Or the
back.
back, no, I don't disagree with that, but
that's where the
regardless-
would be able to use it if they were putting it in the front or they had a situation where the water table was so high that most of their open space had to be used toward it.
and this,
In the back, we don't care that it's landscaped and that doesn't get to count if they don't want it to.
what this does is this puts the responsibility of the landscaping on the property owner.
What does that mean?
That means they're responsible for it, and if they don't maintain it, we send out our code enforcement officer
No,
to make.
which I'm
to
fine.
enforce it.
I'm more concerned
That's
about
what
the
the stormwater
original
maintenance
design,
agreement-
not the maintenance of it. I
No,
mean,
but
we-
that's the thing, is the original design, whatever the original design is, we approve.
So this detention basin is going to have plants in it. And I'm not talking about some pasture grass option.
Well, a couple of things you gotta be careful of, is you wanna be careful what you're putting in it, because you don't wanna reduce the volume of the pond.
I'm thinking like Watson's subdivision, where around the top quarter and the perimeter, there are shrubs of some sort.
The big problem is I make a very important distinction between the decoration around the perimeter, not the basin, but the perimeter of the basin and the basin. Those are two different things. I have no problem with what you do around the edge of it. In
Sure.
fact, it's a darn good idea to landscape the edge of it. But I'm talking about the basin itself, primarily the bottom part,
Right,
So what?
and
where the water may or may not be there. It may be standing for weeks. It may not be there at all.
I think in-
Why do you want grass in the bottom of the basin over?
We
gravel?
don't. That is the reason why we went to great lengths to talk about, let's gravel detention basins and not
Well,
plant them with
if you
something
look at
else.
right here under number 4, look at the last sentence on number 4.
By the way, you put all non-landscaped areas. That's incorrect. It's all landscaped areas. That's
Well-
what you're graveling, not the non-landscaped
Sure.
areas. Mine says all
That's what this
non-landscaped.
one says too, all on site covered with 3 inches minimum.
So
so
why
it's not
why the
landscaped.
non? We're doing that in the landscaped area, not
Well,
the non-landscaped.
this was your verbiage.
No, you put non in there. I checked the original.
Well, I didn't put non in there because all
Hold on,
non-lands,
read
anyway,
the full
regardless.
sen- Hold on, read the full sentence again.
All non-landscaped areas shall be covered with a minimum 3 inches layer of decorative rock or approved medium to allow water infiltration
So really
to the
word
ground to
landscape should
inhibit
be changed
weed
to
growth.
all soft
Detention
areas.
basins shall also be lined with rock.
The actual code now reads, the landscaped area. Ground cover, all landscaped areas shall be covered with a minimum of 3 inches of decorative rock. I don't know where that non came, but it's not in the code. That was added by somebody. It's not in the
Is that the
code.
landscape ordinance?
Yeah, this is it right out of the book. And this is the way it was originally.
Well,
We're
that's
not-
how it is now.
Because when you say all non-landscaped areas, what does that mean? The asphalt, the
Well-
parking lot?
This is all
Doesn't make any sense at
Could
all.
be,
You put 3 inches of gravel on the parking lot.
why
Not
not?
likely.
Could be road base.
Well, if that's what the committee wants, it's majority
Well, no, we
rule.
talked through this and that there was, was it a conversation or did Matt send us an email about
He
this?
sent us an email, but it was very short and brief, and I didn't really see the email, I just heard.
Neither
what you
did
were
I.
telling me. So
I'll have him send out.
this is something that you and Matt and the mayor and Robbie and Nate talked about.
I hope this isn't being driven by one site plan.
To basically behind his reasoning of why,
Because he used the reasoning because of the crossover between the two, between going from where it was allowed to where it's not allowed.
Yeah, Watson got stuck in the middle.
but,
And that was his reasoning for that one.
right, that was for his reasoning for that one, but there was a reason for him he wanted us to revisit, same with Nate, to revisit our landscape ordinance because,
And so does Robbie.
right, they felt that us excluding them from the opportunity to include it in their 10% if it is landscaped or decoratively rocked was a hindrance to us and the commercial usages.
Because if you get a small lot and they want to
Keep
put a
going.
business in there and the water table's so high, you gotta expand your detention basin so big, it's
It's
gonna cut into
1740-070.
cut into your business. Nobody's gonna want to build.
Or if it's in the front, like Watson had to decorate it because it is in the front, why should it not count?
Okay, quite frankly, what drives this more than anything to me is visual screening and visual appearance.
Right.
The percentage is kind of a magical number that comes out of the air somewhere. The Watsons, they managed to do that quite well, but they didn't put the plantings in the detention area. They put regular rock in the detention and decorative rock on the perimeter.
But you can't have decorative rock in the base of the detention basin.
Well, you can, it's just expensive. You could, but it costs you a fortune.
How would it-
Nobody's
would you
gonna do
just
it.
rate the flow rate differently?
It's
No, what you would
aggregate.
do is you put in a
Yeah,
cobble.
The base is, the gravel has a rate of release, and that's the reason it's in. the-
However, that rate of release is determined by the aggregate size.
Right,
And whether it's
By the
decorative or
voids.
non-decorative has nothing to do with water
Right.
percolation.
but this under number 4, I've removed all, or from non, so it now says all landscaping areas shall be covered with a minimum of 3-inch gravel or 3-inch decorative rock or other approved medium to allow water infiltration into the ground and inhibit weed growth. Detention basin, and I should put retention/detention basins shall be also lined with rock. That should answer your question for up on top.
Okay. It's really complicated. This is something we talked about ad infinitum and passed it, and now we're going back and changing it. The detention basin is generic aggregate rock. The attempt on the landscaped area was to make it look, because some of that aggregate is pretty ugly looking stuff. Decorative rock has got some appeal to it. And so the landscape area was also gonna have rock, but it was gonna be decorative rock. Watson did a very good job of distinguishing between those two.
Which the future.
Somebody would not, if I were a developer, the last thing I'd wanna do is pay the price for decorative rock to line a detention basin.
But if you want to count towards your 10%, why wouldn't you do it? That seems very minimal instead of not being able to have it and having to force your building.
Okay, what if my detention basin is 9/10 or 90% of my landscaping?
Yeah. then
Yeah, that doesn't bother you at all?
If it's landscape, no.
With
Because
what?
if landscape
The
was
bottom of the
decorative rocks,
detention basin, what are they gonna actually put in that?
I'm not expecting them to put anything in it except for a decorative rock. You would
Okay.
want nothing.
So
in
where's the planting?
Then besides the perimeters.
Okay,
around
so
it,
now
you're
I'm-
never
it
gonna
gets-
see the bottom.
It gets back, well, you can certainly see the bottom of a detention basin. Every time I go past Del Taco, I can see the bottom of that place without any problem. It just seems to me if you're gonna do that, there ought to be some minimal requirement of the landscape area not being part of the detention basin. And I would include the perimeter. This is what I'm driving at.
Yeah.
You could end up with the way this is read now, is they could basically make the detention basin their landscaped area.
And they would have to.
The only thing that's keeping them from doing that is the screening requirement.
But if
Thank
they
goodness
have-
that's there.
No, that's why it
if they
stayed
have a
there.
Shallow detention basin.
Well, I hope it
that's in
stayed
the
there.
front of their commercial project and they landscape it well, why do I care if it's a detention basin if it looks landscaped? But it has a dip of 2 feet, why do I care? It still looks nice, it looks a lot nicer than.
How many detention basins do you think look nice
There's a few,
that are gravelled
decorative rock can be okay with some shrubs.
I think they look great
with some
3 to 4
shrubs?
inch
And the
columns.
shrubs would have to be
The
put
shrubs
on the
would have to
perimeter
be
in an
flat.
irrigated part. That's what I'm saying. The way this reads, it doesn't make it clear.
Okay, that I'm fine with, I'm not fine with just excluding it altogether.
Okay, then we're right
Do
back
we
to
just need to
distinguish.
define the perimeter as separate from the
Yes,
detention basin? Because I have a 2-acre detention basin behind my house. It's got a 3-foot wide perimeter around the whole thing. Yeah, I count that as part of the.
right.
as
But
part of the
you understand what I'm
detention
driving at? If the perimeter is landscaped,
basin.
I don't really care.
So I'm just saying,
So
that is-
I want the perimeter and, a quarter in so that it looks from the road or the passerby that it's landscaped.
But we talked about,
They can't see it anyway.
if maybe you don't remember, but we talked at length about not going the route of plantings in the detention basin itself because it's easier to maintain it
Well,
if
yeah,
it's
I don't
gravel.
want them in the basin, but
Okay.
on the
So,
shelf
so
of
my
it.
point is, let's distinguish the perimeter from the
But it's
basin.
more than the perimeter. I would be okay with a quarter in, because visually you see the first third to a quarter of a detention basin. So if it's landscaped, a lot of them look fully landscaped, and the base, the actual bottom is rock.
Okay, then bottom, use perimeter and bottom. I don't care what language you use, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
The bottom is gravelled.
Yeah.
The perimeter could be counted as part of the landscaped area. How's that?
If it can be seen
That
from the
okay with
road, it
everybody?
needs to be
Huh?
decorative.
That gets where I'm going.
And then it gives them the ability to use it if they are in a situation like Watson.
Quite frankly,
All their-
landscaping the perimeter would ease the view of the detention basin itself, so. Okay, so let's distinguish between the bottom of the detention basin and the perimeter. Fair enough?
And they'd have to maintain it, right? They couldn't just let them die out. They would
Yeah,
have
they
to.
made,
Got
yeah,
the water,
That's what the
maintain it.
agreement's for.
they have to maintain it, it's rock.
Stormwater management.
Just one, okay, we've distinguished between the perimeter and the basin. But the bottom of the basin isn't part of the 10% landscaped area. That's important. Okay, we in agreement with that?
That gets hard because how many people have just the square footage of the bottom of their
They
basin?
could figure, look, it would take them, somebody,
That's the only
5
one that
minutes to
I
come.
would run past Matt before we distinguish it that way, because that may make Matt or Nate's life more miserable than we're estimating that, because we don't know how things are calculated that way. I know it would be probably.
Look, but when you're designing it,
Yeah.
it seems to me that would be clearly driving the design. You do something simple in the bottom, you put gravel. On the perimeter, if it's going to be landscaped, you have to start worrying about a decorative rock and you have to start worrying about an irrigation system. So it is different.
I'm great with that piece, but actually distinguishing what is considered the bottom, let's make sure Matt's okay with that number, and that it would be the same to Matt as it would be to the person submitting the plans, so that it's.
Well, most of these, they do try to put some bottom to it, right? It's not
It's flat.
I mean, there is a flat surface, if you want to define it as the flat bottom or the horizontal part of the basin or whatever you want to call it.
It goes down steps.
Well,
Let's go back to number 4. Ground cover. Where I was thinking, okay, is this is an M1 in which you're gonna have outside storage and other things like that there that aren't gonna be landscaped. But we're still gonna have dust control and other issues, which can be addressed with another medium.
well, then what I would do is I would make that I would say all landscaping areas are covered with this. And then if you want to address the other areas that are not landscaped, but are ground, then separate
Well,
them
it's ground cover. That's why I did it that way, because it's listed as ground cover.
for the landscaped area.
But it's
under the
ground cover.
head-
Ground
heading.
cover to me is ground cover.
No, but you're talking about something that's not part of the 10% landscaped area. You're talking about just generic area around the building.
Ground cover.
Okay, but that's not landscaping, that's ground cover. This is ground cover as a subsection under landscaping. If you want to have something separate about in the non-landscaped area, this is what you should, how you should cover it, fine. But let's not make it part of the landscape plan. I don't disagree that you want to have it, but the problem with all landscaped area or all non-landscaped area, all non-landscaped area includes asphalt.
Sure, and
So
3 inches of asphalt.
You're
takes
gonna
care of
cover
it.
the asphalt with 3 inches of decorative
Why
rock
can't you just call it open space instead of landscaping?
and put it under a different heading.
Yeah.
Don't put it, yes, I agree
Well,
with that.
refer to it as open space so that it's distinguished from being part of your.
And to some of us, asphalt is decorative.
Whoa,
I'm gonna remember that when you want all your trees.
an ecologist or not.
Just paint it a different color.
Well, no, I don't
Nothing-
disagree
nothing
with.
smells
I
better in
don't
the morning than
disagree with
asphalt.
Minimizing,
On a cold
But-
morning,
but you want decorative rock, okay, you've covered the landscape area. And now you've got some open ground space
sure,
and you want to cover that with decorative rock.
sure. Or we could do road, but I mean, or other medium.
Okay, well then why don't we just make that as a separate thing that's not
So a
addressing
decorative or
landscape?
rock or other approved medium.
Under a separate category, not under landscaping. This is just the general ground area. It's not part of the landscape plan. And this could be 20% or 30% of those lot for all we
Why not
know.
just make it easier and go to open space, whatever's
Open space, I like
Or
that
just not
because it
cover it
gets.
at all.
What?
We can just not cover it at all.
No,
Not
I
saying
agree.
anything.
I like the idea of covering it. I
No, I'm
think,
just saying,
So you have a big
We'll let
dirt-
the-
you have a big dirt lot on the side of your building or something.
yeah, we'll let them deal with it.
Do you cover it or do you just leave it?
Yeah.
well, they'll usually put road base down or something. That's the
Well-
cheapest route, right?
And you had some artificial turf we just saw the other day, pulled out all the grass. and put down some
What
artificial-
about-
wherever
I
it
guess,
was.
how close do you want to micromanage this?
Right, I think that's getting way detailed,
Well, I'm not
but
proposing it.
the open space piece is, cause you have some of those places, like, I'm trying to give an example, I'm thinking like non-typical.
Well, think
or
M1, you have to think
Some-
M1, not
Right.
commercial, not residential,
Non-typical is a-
not-
is a-
They are.
M1.
grandfather. But they have a site plan that dictates their 10%, and that might be, yeah, their 10% open space, then the rest of it is a gravel, whatever. But open space is a very common term and would go in hand with the site plan and be easy to say, okay, well, that's your open space, there's your 10%, whatever you have,
Okay.
that has to be landscaped.
But if they have 30% of their
Has to be
footprint is open space, your question is, what do they do with the other 20%?
Well, if it's considered, if they're doing 30% open space, that's their site plan, then 30% is landscaped in some fashion. Whether it
No,
be
were you
rock-
saying every non-asphalt
Well, yeah, if they, if on
covered
their site
open
plan-
space has to be landscaped?
Yeah, if they're counting it toward their open space percentage, yeah.
You mean the landscape percentage? You're saying
Well-
open space. There's no open space requirement in M1.
There isn't a ten, so it's just 10% landscape.
That's right, that's it. But Greg makes a valid concern. I mean, you could have 30 or 40% open space that's not a building, 10% of which will be landscaped. So what happens with the rest of it? Isn't that what you're getting at?
Do we need to, do we need to cover it though?
I mean, a weed patch if
Well,
it's
I would
not.
hate if you were
As long-
developing the
as
lot
long
in
as
one phase
As
and
long as
you
they,
had,
as long as they maintained it, kept the weeds down, what does it matter?
and kept the dust.
I'm
and-
kind of
Well,
in
that's
that
kind of where
camp.
it's headed here. So right here, I have all other areas not
Because-
covered by landscaping or pavement shall be protected from wind,
If they have 2 acres of
Blown.
open space and you
Or dust
expect to
pollution.
cover with road base,
dust.
that could get expensive.
Yeah.
That's a good,
That's what I have,
good
yeah.
thing to add, you
Because
know?
there's different types. There's creep,
Wind
there's
debris.
saltation.
Yeah.
So saltation moves more than anything.
Well, then really your concern is dust, not what it looks like, right?
Well, that's what I have on
Well,
here.
weeds, you
So
know,
here,
weeds.
I added, this is
Well,
what I added
weeds,
on number
yeah.
5, okay? I added a number 5.
I wouldn't put it under landscaping, please. It's not,
Just your
like
street.
No.
it's not part of the
Okay.
landscape.
Yeah, 'cause
I've been
everyone
waiting
keeps
for number
looking
5
at
to
this
pop
and
up.
I don't want
Where do you
it.
want
So
it?
give me the responsibility.
Look, you've got open
Somebody
space.
left me a map.
Put it after, B, C, or D, or E, make
It's
it
not the real
E.
one.
It's
That's
a
my
separate
first
thing.
one.
It's not landscaping. You already have something on open storage. How about open storage? You could sneak it in there.
That's a good idea.
That's a good place to put it, not under landscaping.
Because they could put storage there.
Well, I
I
don't
mean,
want
there's a
then what
possibility.
happens if you get someone that just has one building and
I would put it as a separate category.
yeah. I
like
wouldn't put it
E.
under-
I'd put it in E, separate
Yeah.
thing.
Or put it, change D to E and put it there, because D is miscellaneous, it's kind of the end.
Well, and I'm gonna suggest another thing, that we move C down to where, so we don't repeat ourselves 2 times, but let's get rid of this one first. So. And it's mainly for dust abatement, right?
Well, dust and weeds.
Dust and weeds, right?
Yeah. Just so that it looks,
And I do like the idea of telling them, you gotta manage your weeds on your,
could you say all vacant ground, all vacant?
all non-landscaped ground.
Non-landscape.
How about all non-landscaped ground must be blah, 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 blah,
All
blah.
areas not covered by landscaping or pavement, okay,
Good, good, very good.
shall be protected.
I can't help but correct something. Non-typical is non-M1 grandfather.
I thought they were.
No,
Are they a C1 or C2
they're
grandfather?
C2 that have gone nuts and they're way out of compliance.
So
Including
Why did I
that.
think they were?
all areas not. covered by
Because they think
landscaping
Maybe
they
it
own
was
shall
what
be
they were doing
protected
is allowed in C1 previously.
from
To
dust.
a point.
They take the grandfather because of the caretaker home that's on the property.
No, there's so many things.
I know, that home needs to be torn down. Yeah.
And something about
expand-
weed control in there too.
If they expand, that's when,
Yeah, we can shut them down when, well, you change it when they expand west,
Yeah.
they will need a new site plan, which will be correct.
and then we can fix it.
It's
Well, that's
not a-
what, 3
and
years?
They can't call it a caretaker home because caretaker homes aren't allowed either.
I just remember
I know.
David J. asking the question, so this would be a caretaker home? Yes, okay.
Well,
That's
a lot
what
of
they,
this
I
coming out
remember
of-
that.
A
That
lot
was
of
my
the
first
stuff that
site
coming out of the
survey.
M1's already was in the M1.
Say that again?
A lot of the stuff that, like that, was in the M1 already.
The landscape portion?
No, the,
We had we're replacing the old version with the one that we put in the C2.
Okay.
Isn't that what you did, basically?
yeah.
While he's doing that, can I just make something?
That's done.
Okay, under C, under,
So what do you want me to do with number 1?
area requirements. I don't think that changes.
Well, I thought we just talked.
Oh,
about
wait, no, it does
retention
change.
stuff, Yeah, just say retention and detention basins or perimeters and walls of retention/detention basins may be.
How about this?
If landscape.
How about this? Retention, detention
I thought that was
basins.
really good.
All right, well, I think it's good too, but let's do this one. Retention, detention basins shall not be included as part of the landscape area, period.
I thought we said they could be.
No,
Didn't we just?
I think somewhere it should say, the perimeter of the detention basin may be included as part of the landscape plan, but not the floor, it's not a floor, not
Say
the,
perimeter and walls of detention basin.
except wall, there, yeah,
That's what it is, it's not a wall.
the wall's
They
this.
include- Well, a wall can go like this.
How about a slope?
There you go.
Just distinguish that from the base of the
And
basin.
then say may be included in your 10% if
Hold on,
landscape.
I'm trying to think in my mind here, so I'm trying to write it so it makes sense.
That would be appreciated.
The perimeter area
And sides,
slopes
okay?
Slopes, that's a
There you
good
go.
word. I like that one. The perimeter slopes,
of the retention
better.
basin shall not be included.
shall be in,
Okay.
maybe, the perimeter slopes of a detention basin may be included.
The perimeter area and
Well, no.
slopes of the retention detention basin.
Perimeter can have.
Perimeter and slopes, that's fine enough.
On a case-to-case basis.
No, don't say that.
May be included as part of the landscape area unless landscape,
If.
okay, I'm just, like I said, part of the landscape area. If,
Are you sure you can't just stay on city council? I need like one other woman on my team.
if landscape and a stormwater maintenance agreement is recorded on the property.
Okay, now, why the stormwater maintenance agreement? What's that got to do with landscaping the slope? Yes, I don't
have it in there
understand that
because-
at all.
Because when we
That's
talked about this last time, when we talked about the Watson property.
Is that what's in it now?
No,
That's
no.
new.
I would take that out.
I would
That's
too.
not our place to say. That's the engineers and that's Nate to get signed up for building permit. Sorry, I know you're big on that.
That's okay.
I know.
Problem is I see it missed more often than I care. And I have to call him all the time. That's why I put it in there.
That's Nate's.
But the stormwater maintenance agreement has nothing to do with landscaping.
It does.
No, it has everything to do with water detention and
No.
retention.
It's a civil
but not
engineering
landscaping.
thing. It's not really our thing.
It's actually a landscape thing because it's part of the storm maintenance agreement. You have to maintain the landscaping. It's written in the agreement.
Okay, but do we really need to say that?
It's gone.
But that's
Okay.
not ours.
The
We don't
perimeter
create that
area-
document. We
The
don't-
perimeter area and slopes of the detention basins shall be included as.
Maybe, not shall. Shall.
Detention basins may be included as part of the landscape area if landscaped, period.
Okay,
So they'll still have to bring it in front of us and we'll have to decide, right?
We have to do that
Because I'm
regardless.
just,
Same as
I'm just thinking
Watson's
everybody's
plan.
gonna be like, okay, well, let's
Same as Watson's.
Try and
plan, where
push
we
it
have-
through
You know,
this
my
one.
guess is a lot of them aren't gonna wanna screw around with landscaping and irrigation systems on the slope of their
Yeah,
detention
probably
basin.
Oh, yeah, I would, absolutely.
You would want to?
Mhm.
I would
If it
think of a
means me
lot of them.
having a bigger building and me putting the sprinklers
Oh,
in my
yeah,
detention
it's a
basin,
lot.
absolutely.
Okay,
We're talking a couple $1,000 versus a
got
loss
you.
of 100,000.
Yeah,
well, a lot of them wouldn't like us to have 0% landscaping too.
just a
And
giant
it's still
building.
The reality of cost.
Okay, what else?
Okay, nothing, I'm done with landscaping, I've got.
Well, I understand that. What
Okay.
else?
Okay, under C on additional requirements, I would strongly recommend we take that whole piece and move it to the section that
See, on
deals
which
with
piece?
this walls and fences. And take that and delete it completely from here and move it to the section that deals with M1 zone adjacent to residential or agricultural zones.
Oh, yeah, there
So-
were a couple things that were-
So we'd put that and replace E under that last section with C from the previous section. Just move C from the previous section over there. Because
So
we
where?
repeat ourselves.
Down at the bottom?
Yeah,
So ease fences.
because put it where it belongs, really, you know?
Sick watching you.
Me too.
Now, there's only one difference in the wording of the two that really matters. Under E, you say solid visual wall / barrier. Under this version, we have a wall at least. I would suggest taking this and saying a solid visual wall / barrier, and then take this chunk and replacing the other one, okay? So it incorporates the language you've got in the other one as well. So C, with that addition, a solid visual wall / barrier, et cetera, just take the whole thing and move,
So I'm making that E.
and making it E and get rid of E.
What?
Because you're repeating yourself.
It's redundant.
It's redundant, it's totally redundant.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've
I
already-
like how we put a.
But I like the
E in
long
there.
version from C down there.
Right, that's what I have right
And I do like what you had under E,
Take it out of
a
E and
solid
put it in
visual
E.
wall / barrier instead of just a fence.
Yep.
there. So remove C completely.
Take it down,
Even though those are.
have it
two
become
different
E in the
portions,
neck, on the
Because
lower
that's the
section.
headline of next to residential.
Right.
Right.
So that's why I'm putting
And
it
that's
there.
why the thought was to have it in there, so.
Because if they're going to look at all the rules of M1 against residential, they're gonna go to that section and read it. So there's
What
no
if it's
reason
just
to have it
commercial,
under the
commercial?
other one. It's a special,
M1 to commercial,
it's a special
commercial then.
condition for residential, okay?
Okay.
And-
Anything else?
I can do
other than one line, under the last one, you know, where the zone adjacent to residential, look at item number 5. Do we really need 5, given what is stated in 4?
Where are we looking? Give me a number. What's the number?
Well, okay, this is the whole section under M1 zone
Well,
adjacent
I
to
understand
residential.
that, but
No,
what,
I just,
1740-040?
okay, excuse me, it is under, I'm talking about 5, under the, right after it.
The beam of exterior lighting.
Right. But if you look at 4, doesn't
So
4
prohibited
cover
uses is-
5?
Is next.
4 says exterior lights shall be directed straight down or away from the residential property. And then we follow that by the beam of exterior light shall not shine directly on a residential property. If it's down or away from it, how can it possibly shine directly on it?
I don't know.
I mean,
That's a
it
good
doesn't,
question.
that doesn't,
I copied and pasted
I
that.
know, but don't you think we ought to just delete
Yeah,
that?
I'm
It
just
just, to
telling you,
me,
I
it's
just copied
just
and
saying the
pasted
same
that, so
thing
I don't know.
twice.
You know,
No, I know that. I know
That's where it was there
you.
before, so.
So I'd suggest we delete it. Okay?
Okay, so number 5, delete that one. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying,
The beam of exterior light shall not shine directly onto a residential
Exactly.
or agricultural property.
right. Does everybody in agreement to,
When we first talked about that, was that just the lights that were coming off the building versus the ones that are in
No,
the
they were the
parking lot?
lights
they're
in the
both of
parking
them are
lot.
dealing with the exterior lighting.
Right.
One says it's either directed down or away, and the next one says it can't.
Basically the same thing.
Basically the
Yeah.
same thing, so.
Well, if you've accomplished 4, you've already taken care of 5.
I'm trying to
Number
think why
2.
we originally created 5.
I
Did
know.
4 or 5 won't happen.
Yeah.
Well, it was probably emphasis, but
Well, if you go to number 2, it limits it to light fixtures shall be no closer than 4 feet from a residential or agricultural property.
that's a proximity issue. The other one is the direction of the beam of light.
Well, yeah, but it's very difficult to stop if it's 4 feet away from shining on the adjoining property unless you tell them.
Well, if it's pointed down though.
Okay, I see where you're going with that.
Thing, yeah.
Okay, leave it on. It just seemed to me it was redundant,
I
but
feel like
you're
that's
saying,
one we shouldn't mess too much with. We spent a lot of time.
Right.
Sort of like we did on the
M1
landscaping one?
residential. That one, but that was proof to say we got a site plan that showed us.
no
it
problem.
worked.
Here's redundancy. You make a good point. If it's directed down, but it's too close to the edge, so there's gonna be some wash.
And if somebody wants to complain because it's in there.
That's good enough for me.
Anything else other than punctuation?
On all of this stuff, do you want me to have at it?
Yeah,
Just
you have at it.
then you don't even have to
Do all the
mess with
punctuation
it,
you want.
because it's,
I still have heartburn.
Because all the numbers
I
should be.
still have heartburn with open storage.
Open storage.
About a
whatever.
wall around it if it's outside. Who cares if it's stored out back?
I thought we
If it's
agreed, we
outside.
talked about that last time.
I
that
know, but we
if it
didn't
was-
know, nothing's been changed on it.
Okay, let's go back.
Well, where's open storage?
Which one?
What
Open
number?
storage is B under landscaping.
No, it's not. It's under
Well, still A.
1740-070.
Yeah, and that,
1740, 17.40.070,
Yeah.
C or B.
Oh, additional
Okay.
requirements.
yeah, A, B, C.
Yeah.
Any part of the lot used for storage or of equipment, merchandise parts, or other items, if not in an enclosed building, shall be enclosed by a decorative side obscuring wall or fence with a minimum height of 6 feet.
Unless located behind the building. I thought we talked about that when we had the joint one
We
with
did.
city council. I thought we were gonna change that.
I
As-
thought we
as-
didn't
But then we talked about if, okay, then you have the Smith and Edwards corridor where you have the visual off of 2000 and you also have a visual off the highway, but we agreed that we really didn't care with the highway side.
The freeway side, we
If
can't.
they can
do
go down
anything
both sides, you don't have to do the back.
Right.
so what are you ending up with on that?
Storage in the back.
about. Storage in the back that's out of sight from,
It's the out of sight.
That's the key.
That's the key right there. I don't,
Like-
sometimes out of sight is on the side and not the
Because
back.
if it's-
so we can differentiate. If it's inside, it's gotta be enclosed, if somebody can see it. If it can't be seen, then it can be out in the open.
So out of sight.
Out of mind?
from view,
Yeah.
out of
No,
sight,
but
out of
that
sight.
really
Problem
isn't the
is-
issue. It's not, because the way the buildings are configured, sometimes the side's the issue, sometimes it's the back's the
But
issue.
you can still, I'd say you can still see the back from the road,
What road?
the road out in front. Because as you're driving out in front of it, you can look at the back side of that building. and see the back
Well,
and see what they're storing back there.
So like say they store a bunch of pallets
it
and then
it
rodents
depends on how
start
much open space is on the side.
nesting
of
in
the
it
building.
and.
Well,
If you've got building built after building, you're not gonna see
well,
anything.
if we look at what we just approved, if we look at what just approved, we have building, the
Typically
back
you
of the
would.
building's in the middle.
Yeah, you have some of there off the Big League.
What if,
So
what if,
let's make it-
if it's on the
let's
corner,
not say back of the building,
if
let's
it's
just
on
say
the corner of
anything
a
that's
road,
inside of the road.
side away from the road, it's
So here's the road,
Can't be
okay? This is what we just approved.
from the road, it's not just the front,
Okay.
what if it were on a
There's the
corner
back of the building, so here's the parking lot.
from a
I'm
public
just saying-
street?
I'm
From
not
a
saying, I'm
public
not
street,
saying
yeah.
it's back, I'm just saying, this to me would be the back now, because it's out of
Yeah.
sight.
But you can still, I'll bet you can still see that.
How
It
about
depends
just,
on the density of the building, you can probably see it, but if it's not like right out there in front, you know, and you could make it a case for like Grant's Auto or whatever, they're storing cars out
Then
front,
why not
out
put,
there.
then why not put,
We need to put a wall around
why
those.
not put a wall? why not
Actually,
put a fence
there's a
right
lot of
here?
M1 in the Far West I wished were behind
And a fence
walls.
right here, and a
And
fence
all you
right
have to
along
do
there.
is go on the north end of the city and see how much
What I'm
better it
saying
is with the wall
eventually,
than not
when
the
you get
wall.
commercial, from there, because you're gonna have enough density there, you're not gonna see.
But a lot, what I see a lot of them doing is the buildings are here. If you look at the ones that are there now, and they're fenced here, here, and here, and then they can store whatever they want back,
And that's
including on
fine.
the sides here, you know,
Well, and that would meet the fence requirement anyway.
right?
But to me, it doesn't need to be fenced in. I just, at my work, we have a lot of stuff outside. It's not visible from the road, but it's all over the place.
Can we do something, if
So
not
it's-
visible from the road, visible
Who-
to the public,
Who's gonna make that determination?
visible to, well, if they're on.
That's the question.
legally-
Who's gonna make that determination? Is it gonna be us? Is it gonna be them? Is it gonna be the engineer?
That's part of their site plan.
Well,
Yeah.
You're gonna see the
also-
site plan.
how well does 6 feet work in obscuring the sight of it versus 8?
8 feet is a disaster. Yeah, I think 8 feet looks stupid on some things. Cause you have a
The
regular
only
commercial
place, the only place 8 feet is there is between an M1
Yeah,
And a
and a
residential.
residential. That's it.
yeah, I don't think we need.
Everything
to
else
make
is 6 feet.
8 a regular-
Okay, what about does it have to be decorative?
No.
I wondered
would
about
say
that.
don't care.
As long, it's, anything's better than what you see behind.
I don't
the
know,
fence.
I
How
see
about
painted
this
rocks
side
out there.
exterior?
at Farr Park.
I don't care if it's
Cute.
decorative either, but
So what have we decided?
I saw the guy.
Well, we're talking two different things. Now we're back to.
it's
to
not enclosed in a
fence.
building, shall be enclosed by a side obscuring wall or fence with a minimum height of 6 feet.
What was the
And
front
that's-
end of that again?
Yeah, say the first part.
Okay, I'll read the whole thing.
Okay.
Any part of the lot used for storage of equipment, merchandise, parts, or other items, if not in an enclosed building, shall be enclosed by a side obscuring wall or fence with a minimum height of 6 feet.
Isn't that what we already, that's what we
It's
got.
already on here.
Yeah, so I thought we,
That's what I just wrote on
We
here.
didn't change it.
The only thing I did change was I took off decorative.
Oh.
well, somebody was having problems with that, weren't they?
Yeah. He's having problems because he wants to, how do you want me to?
My heartburn is if you have something that's not visible at all, you have let's say you have just something you're gonna store out there, you have like a machine, like we have machines at our shop, we take one of the machines out, we're storing it outside, it's not visible from anywhere.
Okay.
But we have to put a wall. we have
No,
to-
here's, how about this?
No.
If not enclosed, and not, if not in an enclosed building
It's not in an
Well,
enclosed
And-
building.
and-
because you will flip
and
out.
visible to the public, how about just adding that? And visible to the public.
Then, but you're right, then what is visible, what's considered visible to the public? Does that become a discretion at which the person is?
I tried for you.
Well, I agree with you on that, but then I could see the planning commission members fighting of, well, I would fight that is visible
Yeah, we're not-
because
here's
the
the thing to
freeway's
remember.
behind
Okay,
it. And
visible
I'm
to the
like,
public
it's
is one
not.
of those vague terms. Somebody
Can
walks
you
down
say
the side of the,
visible- hold on, can you
Here's-
say visible
from a public street.
from the frontage street, from whatever their
Yeah,
entrance
That's
is.
gonna be the part.
Here's the thing
Visible
to
from the
remember.
entrance.
Okay. We're
Here's the
getting
thing to
closer.
remember, okay? We're not saying fence the piece of equipment.
No, but you're saying now I have to fence probably my backyard in order to have
No,
that.
we're
equipment
saying you
back
have to
there.
make it visible, so it's, you can't see it, okay? I was not saying go out to, if you have a big piece of property and you put your thing back there, who cares? Put your fence out front.
But
Get
that's
it-
not what that says.
Yeah, that's not what it says. If
You're saying
store
you have to
any-
fence
It's
it
not
no
a
matter
building,
if
it's
people
not a
can see it or
Shall
not.
be enclosed with a side obscuring fence.
Not being visible.
Whether it be a truck that your worker comes and grabs in the morning, or a piece of equipment, or a pallet of storage, you're now saying I have to fence the entire.
Wait, that is, it's not the whole lot.
Right.
Oh, very careful. Any part of the lot used for storage. So-
But that's still the same concept.
It's not the
Okay.
perimeter.
Here,
I didn't think it was the perimeter, but you still have to fence part of the back, or fence an area to go put a machine.
So
so if it's not in an enclosed building or visible to the public,
But visible to the public, we're talking
You
is
got-
vague thing.
okay, so here's what we have right now. If not in an enclosed building or visible to the public, shall be enclosed by a side obscuring wall or fence with a minimum height of 6 feet. No, it doesn't.
I would think our
I just
biggest
think
worry
that's
is just
subjective.
it being super trashy, like they stick pallet and pallet and pallet and pallet and pallet, and then they never maintain that area, and then it just becomes, like, isn't that a bigger worry than just fencing a few things is?
Well, actually, if the public can't see it, I don't care how messy their front room is, okay? I mean, isn't that really true? I mean, we don't tell residential people what to do in their backyard. Heavens forbid, we've got some bad
All
examples.
we're trying to do is make it visually appealing to the people going through on the frontage, on the main road.
Well, you gotta give Copart credit for what they.
They've done a great job out
Oh,
there.
yes. Well, that's the primo. That's just above and beyond.
They used to have it all.
So how do you wanna word it?
Now it's all behind. That's kind of the goal, right? Height ugly.
To the public from the frontage.
Right, from
Yeah.
entrance, from frontage.
No, from the
Frontage.
frontage.
For the public road?
For the
But
public
there could be
road.
two public roads.
No, yeah,
So you say frontage road.
Well-
Well, if they're on a what if they're on a corner?
that was my
What if they're on a corner?
comment. They're on the corner.
Their address is on both sides of the street.
Are those both frontages?
One side.
Oh, say that's,
Your address.
Your address is on
one
a
side of the
road,
street.
that's your
right,
frontage.
frontage.
That's your frontage.
Well, we said public road. I don't like public road.
Right,
Frontage,
let's
I'm
change it to
okay with,
frontage,
yeah.
and then-
Frontage.
What about the
Public
side?
road, you can have two. What about what?
What about the side?
We
where you
just
can
argued
see it?
that.
On a corner.
On a corner,
I can give you an example where I turn into my
He's still right,
subdivision
there's
every
only
day.
a frontage.
There's only one frontage.
But you would still, if they had it in there, what was considered their back, you'd be able to see it.
okay, so
That's a problem.
any part of the lot
Around
used for storage or
3300,
equipment, merchandise,
front,
parts, or other
there's
items,
the side.
if not enclosed in a building or visible from the frontage road,
Yeah.
Okay,
or road in the front,
that's fine unless it's on a corner.
Or
There's gonna be
something
some areas
to
that,
include corner lot.
If it's on a corner, that doesn't cover you. There's the side is, that's the problem with, that's why we came up with,
Frontage or visible to the public.
or,
That's your catch-all.
More visible, yeah.
Maybe
I'm
that's-
thinking of examples. If you go out there along Higley Road, you can
Yes.
see some of those
On
from
both
both
sides,
two
yeah,
thousand
you
and
can.
from Higley.
yes.
But at some point, every single lot has a back. And
Yeah, but-
unfortunately, the back goes to the public,
But,
and,
yeah.
but that's not my fault as a lot owner. I still consider a back, and I don't have to maintain the back the same way we require them to maintain the front. And some
Well,
of that we just have to. concede
And
to.
really, are we gonna put a higher standard for M1 than we have for residentials?
No.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, we don't have any standard for what's in the back of a residential
Yeah, we gotta
property.
remember This is M1 and
Yeah,
nobody's really gonna care in an industrial park.
Then let's say view from the frontage.
okay, so what I have
Still weird on the corner lot.
is if not in an enclosed building or visible from the frontage,
If not, okay, because an enclosed building you could have on your frontage, okay.
in other words, you can put anything you want in the closed building. We don't care, which
Right.
is, oh, that's good.
so what do you want to do with the last sentence of that?
Read it again for me.
So enclosed, if not in an enclosed building or visible from the frontage,
Must be enclosed by.
Shall be enclosed by a side obscuring wall.
shall be enclosed by a side obscuring fence, wall or fence with a minimum height of 6 feet.
Yep.
Hold on, wait a minute. Sorry, it sounds like you're saying if it's not enclosed or not visible.
Right,
Then it does have to be,
Gonna have.
No, if it's not visible, it doesn't have to be covered, right?
right.
right,
If it's not in a building or visible from the frontage,
Okay.
It
just
shall be
like the
enclosed.
Verbiage, because it sounds like it could, that not
Okay.
could be applied to both.
Let me reread it again then, okay? So looking right here, it says at any part of the lot used for storage of equipment, merchandise, parts, or other items, if not enclosed in an enclosed building or visible from the frontage, shall be enclosed. Huh?
Okay,
That's the problem.
Building or visible,
okay, how
or
about,
if it's visible.
Or
Or
if,
visible.
or if, not, yeah, don't put the not in there, otherwise you're saying just
There's
the
no,
opposite.
there's no not, there's no not in there.
It could be,
If not enclosed in an enclosed building,
or if it's not visible,
or
or if it's visible.
visible.
Or if visible, or if
You
visible.
have to add that, or else it sounds like the not applies to both.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Instead of saying not
you should
visible.
put, or if visible to the public, shall be enclosed.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the enclosed building, just put, if visible to the public, take out the not enclosed building, because it's, if you can't see it, you don't care.
So I noticed in B, you're calling it open storage, and then later in 80B, you're calling it outside storage.
Okay.
Once you're calling it open storage, but at one part you're calling it open storage area, and then on B,
Outside storage is better.
so I was just saying, we should be consistent, right?
Outside storage,
Just to be
that's
consistent, we don't want to call it one thing in one part and then.
outside. There's no-
Outside open.
It's visible to the public.
Now, you want to get rid of fence and just put wall? Because we argued that when you put fence, you start suggesting slats for chain link fence. If we just put wall, we kind of,
But we allow them to have fence,
like what?
like
The thing you have to be careful of when putting wall, the thing you have to be careful with putting wall is, once it comes above ground, it's technically a fence.
Well,
It can
but
be called fence.
we did make that change in
Yeah.
the residential.
We allow them to use fence.
No, not, well, I'm just saying, we changed our language in the one adjacent to residential and eliminated
Oh,
Let me
fence.
read this again.
That one has to be
Hey,
cited.
let me read this again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Outside storage, any part of the lot used for storage of equipment, merchandise, parts, or other items, if not in an enclosed building, or if it is visible from the frontage, shall be enclosed
Or if visible, what, there was an extra word there.
if
Or if
it
visible.
is visible.
No, or if visible. You don't need is in there.
I was just writing down what somebody said. If visible from the frontage, shall be enclosed by a side obscuring wall or fence with a minimum height of 6 feet,
Okay.
period.
That'll work. Let's-
No.
So let's
Good
plan on
Lord.
this. Will you send out the revisions we talked about tonight? Thank you for your help.
I'll
And
send them out.
then, because on our agenda, we do have to set the.
Lou's gonna do all the
What you're gonna-
punctuation.
You're gonna do this, get
That's
whatever
done.
you've done, send it to me.
Yeah.
I'll clean up the miscellaneous stuff
Okay.
and then give it back to you, okay?
So all I have to do is this.
You can have a public hearing even if it's not perfect.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
that, then I'm done playing with it myself. so.
Yeah, then all we have is a C2.
Go to here, go to here, go to
Hey, still friends?
Yeah,
I'm
of
just-
course,
no,
no,
I'm
no,
just-
of course.
Just trying to pound it out to make it the best
No,
it can be,
I
so.
agree, no,
okay.
I agree. And that's what I was trying to do too. So,
Okay, well,
no,
I
agree.
appreciate.
No, no, we're still good. I learned a long time ago. I take this person.
You have one over here?
Outside storage. Outside storage.
What the heck?
Only 3 are gone?
How many more?
I
I think we got the two already down. We need one, we need one for the podium down there.
Greg.
Jason, do you need one on that table over there?
Nobody's gonna be.
Oh,
on
somebody's
there.
absent? We got somebody
Yeah,
missing?
Greg.
Oh, Greg, little Greg. Oh, okay.
I may do that. One for my wife. wife? I'll just leave it here.
Yeah, they'll, I'm guessing that they're not gonna disappear before the end of the meeting.
If you leave them by me the whole time. Let's put them up here and anybody who comes to the phone. It's mandatory.
Greg promised not to eat.
Well, that was interesting.
I still think.
You know, and the only reason I'm putting code is it's not visible.
Everybody should have it now.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
I just want to get it done. That's all. Yeah, go on.
You're good.
You have it.
Oh,
It's
you already sent it? Okay, thank you. I mean it.
I moved her cursor, so she's not mad at me. I moved your cursor, sorry,
Remember where I taught you how to read what?
on your,
Oh.
sorry. Just giving you fair warning, you're not typing in the wrong place. Andrea got mad at me for that, so did Mackenzie once, so. Yeah.
You don't want to be cursed out for moving the cursor.
I've already been cursed for removing the cursor.
That M1's getting to be,
It's done.
is it done now? Good.
It's done. As far as I'm concerned, it's
Yeah,
done.
we'll move it
Lou's
on.
gonna go in and fix the punctuation,
Okay.
so I don't do that stuff, so. I just do grammar check.
Yeah.
And once I do the grammar check, that's what I do, is leave
I
it that
thought
way,
it looked good.
so. We're supposed to do that for you.
For, a little bit.
Well-
It doesn't always.
I know, but that's what they say, it's supposed to do it for you, so.
And sometimes I think Word is like a grammar police and it just like, you're like, I want to say it this way, but it's encouraging you to do it this way. You're like, no,
Yeah,
I'm not doing
they
that.
did that one too. But I did spelling, punctuation, grammar. And so I thought I was done, but that's okay.
I feel like I asked the same people. I'm gonna say the pledge this time.
Okay.
Brendan, do you wanna say the prayer?
Sure.
Sorry, a lot of pressure on me.
No, you're good. Do what? Just make sure YouTube's still on.
20 seconds.
Eh,
That one.
Chrome?
Yeah, I'll share it with you. Okay, you're fine. You guys can share that one. I should have brought one more down. I'm sorry.
We need to snack the gavel more, Geneva.
I don't like it. It's the problem.
Oh, that's a good idea. I might need
Okay, we're gonna call this meeting to order. If you guys would all stand, I'm gonna lead in the pledge and then Brandon in a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we're indeed grateful for this opportunity we have to come together as a planning commission to talk about the important aspects of our city. We're grateful for the city that we live in. Please help and bless the community and the citizens of Far West. We're grateful for all that thou hast given us, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Okay, first on our agenda is public comment. Anyone have any comments? Next is report from city council.
Okay, this is my report from last Thursday, the 2nd. We had a report from the planning commission. We don't have any new assignments for the planning commission at this time, although I think Geneva, you mentioned the city was offered help getting our subdivision committee together. So as we get more information on that, we approved minutes and bills. We had quite a lengthy discussion about speeding on 2575 West. We had a couple residents come in and express concern. The city knows it's a problem. The sheriff's department knows it's a problem. So we talked about some ideas, but really the big message is just slow down. Like, it's a residential area, slow down. We will be working on like posting on social media, getting another speed trailer out there to get like more data, and then talking about like engineering solutions, things, but really just be aware that you're in neighborhoods and slow down. We approved the modified site plan for Far West Animal Hospital for their addition. We approved the resolution to request recertification of the Far West City Justice Court. And then our report on assignments, the ones of note would be Saturday, we have the Veterans Day ceremony at 11 over at Smith Family Park. We have a work session on the 16th for the personnel policy and to meet with Black Pine about their request to annex. And then on Monday, the 13th, we have a Wasatch Front Regional Council workshop here at our senior center. So that's valuable. The mayor thinks it's at 5.
5 or 6.
It starts,
Four to
it goes from 4 to
6.
6.
Open house
It's
style.
here in the seniors,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, I
it's
didn't
just
have
an
it on my
open
notes.
house?
Oh, I don't
Well,
know.
it's the workshop that they do every year where they have all the maps out, and they get input from us, and they update the vision.
So we don't have to be there from 4 to 6?
No.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
I blocked off the
That's a good
2
one.
hours.
That's
Just
one
come
of-
when you can.
Great,
That's one
good.
where UTA and UDOT is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, the
It's
whole-
really good.
Yeah, it's really good for any residents to come and,
It's really good to go to.
yeah. So that's all I have. Any questions or
Thank you.
things?
Okay, next, public hearing to consider the request of a conditional use permit for 2552 square foot accessory building for Stephen Sexton located at 2841 West, 3375 North. Is there a motion to go into
Yeah,
a
I
public
move that we
hearing?
go into public hearing for the request of a conditional use permit for an accessory building for Steve Sexton.
Motion by, gosh, if I don't write these down, there we go, Darren. Second by
I'll second.
Greg. All in favor, say aye. We are in a public hearing. Is there anyone that has any comments about this? Is the applicant here? Oh, perfect. Okay. And we heard from you last time, right? Okay. Is there any questions? If not,
I move that we close the public hearing.
motion by Lou.
Second.
Oh, gosh. Second by Greg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now recommendation to the city council for approval or denial of the conditional use permit.
I move that we recommend to the city council approval or denial of the conditional use permit.
You mean approval?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Choose.
Somebody better else do it.
Yeah.
He's
Because I didn't
covering-
write the names down, I screwed everyone up, okay?
He's covering all options.
I recommend to the city council approval or denial.
No.
No.
Gotta stop there.
Wait a minute.
Pick one of the two.
I tell
You know what? Would somebody else read? C,
Here, no,
please?
we'll do it again. You can do it. Right, I just blocked it out.
Okay. Recommend to the city council approval of the conditional use permit for a 2552 square foot accessory building for Stephen Sexton at the address listed.
Motion by Lyle,
I second.
second by Darren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next week, city council. They will finish the process for you. Same time, 7.
So what, just one quick comment, the
Yep.
address is 2051.
851, not.
Oh, not
41.
41. Okay. Do we need to revise any of the motion, Lindsay?
I just fixed it.
Okay, that's fair.
Thank you.
Okay.
He was having a hard enough time the first time.
You don't have to write those two things I said down.
We're gonna make you say it again. That's perfect. Okay, next is recommendation to the city council approval or denial of the site plan for Tesla Inc. for a charging station located at 1750 West, 2700 North. Is the applicant here on that one?
You know they're out of state, but I thought Matt told them.
Yeah, that they had to be here. Okay. Do we have questions for the applicant?
I do.
I was gonna say, I think Greg.
I looked at the site plan, and the thing that got my attention was their placement of the landscaping. It was between their property and the property to the south. Our landscape ordinance says that it's supposed to be located as in the front setback or the side setback facing a street. And it's neither. It's perpendicular to the street.
Page 7.
It's perpendicular to the street. The street's here.
Yeah.
So I very much would like to find out. I think logistically I can understand why they put it there, but that's inconsistent with the location of landscaping based on our ordinance.
Okay. Greg, did you have questions for them too?
I did. I talked to the mayor about them before. I was concerned about the grid, making sure that the power grid would support this. I also had questions whether or not they're going to offer additional charging stations for other types of vehicles besides Tesla. Because there's other makes that have electrical vehicles.
They have to sign a deal.
Yeah,
Those models sign deals with Tesla to use.
I
it.
just,
In our
There's a
development
question.
meeting, they said that not at this time. They said that it would be Tesla only, but then later on, but right now it's strictly for Tesla.
And I assume they had a Wilser from Rocky Mountain, but I could be wrong. Usually with site plan,
looking
you
at the
have to have all your
plans and
Wilsers.
the site plan doesn't have a permit number from Rocky Mountain. I'd reached out to the guy.
Well, they wouldn't have.
on
a
the
permit
plans.
yet, but they should have
No,
a
no, their
Wilser.
project number. They don't even have a project number.
Yeah, they would just have a request number. They wouldn't even have a
Don't
project.
even have
number.
that on there.
Well, you don't put your request number on the plans.
You do.
No, not till you have actual contract. Well, if you guys want, since the applicant is not here to answer the
Yeah,
questions.
but Just
You
another
want
thing
to
in regards to Lou's concern is, aren't they asphalting all the way over? And the only landscaping they could do is on that south side, if they asphalt all the way over from the.
They can do it on
Well,
the
it's
west
the way
side.
they've
too.
designed it. I mean, they could design it so the landscaping was on the street side and then use all that south portion.
Yeah.
I mean, they have designed it at their convenience, obviously, and they've kind of shoved it to the south, so it's an easy place to put it. But the reality is that's not
place.
accomplishing what we want it to do based on the city ordinance. So that's the reason why I'm raising the question. I mean, yes, they could have designed that so that the landscaping was on the east side and they had more parking area to the south, so.
Yeah, since they're not here though.
Well, no, but you can maybe give them that feedback.
Yeah.
That, that will be raised. It's inconsistent with their city ordinance, and I'd like to have them explain why they've chosen to do that, other than their convenience.
Yeah. It's a funky, you can come up.
Address some of that, since we did have a meeting on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the landscaping is actually towards 2700, which is the major street.
No, there's a property between theirs
Yeah,
and
but
the.
it's the
Well, no, it's
closest
the
street.
frontage is to the east, not to the south.
It's actually part of the same property. It's not a street.
It's an extension of the
The
site.
property owner
Yeah.
to the south, the same person.
Yeah,
an
It's
extension
part of the
site
same
plan.
site.
Yes, it's all part of,
Amended site
it's
plan.
all part of the
Well, then that
Miller.
clearly isn't that clearly is not on the facing the street. That's between their two properties.
That's-
And the purpose of landscaping is to create
They're
some,
not up against the street right there is what I'm saying. It's facing 2700, that landscaping, so that's about as
no,
good.
it's between them and Subway.
And as a side
That's
note,
right behind
Subway-
Right
yeah,
here.
What?
He's there
Yeah.
all the time.
You say that again?
I said, as a side note, Subway complains about the weeds, but this is the landscape all the time.
Okay,
So
so,
it does solve one problem.
but ignores the other one.
Well, like he said, it's not really a road.
There's no
Yeah,
street
that's-
there.
That's
They're
just a-
going, they're just
That's just
Okay, that's a
business
private
egress
road,
in there. That's a
non-
private-
It's not even a road.
So
It's not- yeah, that is true.
really, this landscaping is helping a neighbor rather than the public. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
and
They had to have
I was saying, meeting our requirement.
Because that's what I was saying, they're just gonna asphalt all the way over here, because they own all this, they're just gonna take that asphalt over there.
Same as having more gas pumps over there. They're putting it on
Go
the,
to page 1 where the
What is
aerial
that?
is.
This is just an amended site plan to the Miller's property.
part of it.
It's part of the ExxonMobil property, yeah. That's what it is.
Well, not that I'm gonna raise an objection. I at least wanted to hear their rationale for why they
That's a fair
put it in a,
question.
what, in a rather peculiar
there is
location.
no road. They're actually, it's all behind the subway and
I'm familiar with the location.
to it. Like.
parking lot of
Right
Exxon.
here.
There, the gas station.
Through the subway.
Here's the gas station. You go down here and there'll be an access right there.
The gas station on the
So
way.
that little stub road is simply a private road accessing the businesses and will never, ever be a public road. Okay, then my argument's probably moot. Okay.
Never say never.
Okay. Do we want to table to see them next time?
Yep. I recommend we table it till the applicant is processed, is available for questions.
Motion by Greg. Second. Second by
I'll second.
Lyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, set a public hearing for December 14th to consider approval of the amendments to the M1 zone. Do we feel, this is what I was talking about a little bit, I think so Greg sent out the revisions that we made tonight. Lou is going to add his grammar and some special things to it, and then I believe by next week, we can have a final copy distributed via email, and if anyone has comments there, then we can be prepared. I mean, this is a full month, basically, till we have our next meeting.
I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be prepared for a public meeting.
Yep.
Even if there were some minor tweaking, so.
That we're good to go.
I
Okay.
think, I ran it through grammar, I ran it through punctuation to the word, but,
That's
what the
perfect.
changes that were suggested and made tonight have been done. And that's what's out now. So that's what came out in the mail today. So everybody should have that.
Okay. So are we good to set a public hearing for the
Well,
14th?
yeah, with a few edits, I think we've got it. So I move that we set a public hearing for December 14th to consider approval of the amendments to the M1 zone.
Motion by Lou,
I second.
second by Brandon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next, consent items. Approval of minutes dated October 26, 2023.
I recommend we approve the minutes of October 26, 2023.
Motion by Greg,
Well, second.
second by Darren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, report on assignments. Let's go backwards. Jason, do you have anything?
No, nothing.
Now that you have access to the Dropbox, will you upload your tracker sheet in there?
Yeah,
Because I clearly haven't done that yet. Greg, any reports other than you're real worn out with us?
No. The C2, okay, the C2 draft is also on there. I assume that's what we're jumping into next because it affects the M1, is affected by the C2. So it's on there as well. So take a look at that so we can jump into it at the next available meeting.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Darren.
So just kind of an update. I'm supposed to follow North Ogden and what's going on over there. So I've listened in on a few of their recent planning commission meetings. And they actually have a lot going on right now. They have a couple new subdivisions. They have Harley Bates subdivision and Montgomery Farm subdivision. They've got a new assisted living center that is kind of being considered. And they've got a big Southtown project, a mixed use project going from 1700 north to 2100 north and east and west about a block along Washington Boulevard. And it's a big deal. So
Wow.
they had a presentation by the developers and actually the architects and stuff. And they want to kind of wipe out everything there except Kurt's Drive-In and the cannery and kind of just go to town on it. So,
Oh.
but they said it could be a long haul to get it done. It's going to be phase by phase. So it's housing, it's mixed use, it's business, there's going to be a parking terrace, a commons area where they can have social events and so forth. So
And they have actually, similar to our mixed use, they have something called an MPC zone that then they write their whole development agreement similar to ours and phase out each portion to very, very specific. That's cool. Cool. Brandon?
I don't, except for, are we still having a training coming up? What are we talking about?
We're waiting on that till the open meetings training is going to be in January or February.
Just want to bring that up for hours.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, reminder too, Jason's gonna put the sheet in there, but,
Mine are already in the Dropbox.
oh, good. You just have to record your 4 hours before the end of the year in there, and then Lindsay will have access, so we have something that's recordable, or at least we can pull up. Lyle?
I'll try not to repeat myself this time. We had a park meeting last Wednesday and we talked extensively about grants and different grants are available. One thing I found out is that through the Land and Water Conservation Fund, it's an LWCF grant that they will allow, I don't know how it falls under that, but they will pay for 50-50 on, with the 50% match for parks, playground equipment and things like that. And so we're gonna try and, I forgot the name. The grant tour is going on right now. And so that's part of the, I forget, Ken, what is it called? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, they're on the tour right now and we're gonna try and get a hold of this Evan and to kind of talk to him ahead of time. Because the grant, this LWCF grant opens on December 1st and closes on March. Typically it's January through early April or something. So anyway, we're gonna try and get a video or a conference call with him so we can get a jump on this because the workshop that we're going to is not till the 27th. And then also, I got some headway finally from Peterson and they are on board. Nick Despain was just trying to work his way up the food chain there in the company to make sure it's okay to get this done. So now I'll be working with Tom on getting the engineering and the CAD drawings done so we can get it over to them. So with any luck, we'll have everything fabricated. Well, with any luck, we'll have everything ready to go by spring so we can get it installed. So anyway, other than that, I think that's all I've got.
Perfect. Lou?
I report on my assignment in the work session.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I don't have anything special, just work session next week, joint work session. The first part of it is not related to us, but I believe the second half is the Amazon annexation situation. So you can attend all of it, or if you can only make, I assume we're the last half, right? Not the first
We haven't
decided,
actually
okay.
decided it completely yet.
Okay, someone will tell us before
We
Thursday.
may split it in the before and after.
Oh, okay. Then the workshop on Monday between 4 and 6. Then as far as the upcoming work session that will be in December now, we have the C2 piece to wrap up as well as we need to dive into the subdivision stuff. So I don't know if we all can agree that the C2 can wait a minute, or if you want to quickly finish that up, we could do like half the work session to finish C2 and then jump into the subdivision, or maybe an additional work session, or what's your feeling on it?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
A lot of the C2 is kind of going down the list.
Yeah,
And I'm wondering if we can give feedback on that ahead of
Yeah.
time to kind of save some time.
Yeah, just if you'll send me an
I think that
email.
would be more efficient.
Yeah, just send me an email of whatever you think. Some of the same changes that were made in the M1 tonight have to be made in the C2 as well.
Okay.
So I can take care of that. I already know what they are.
do you want to make that and then send out a fresh email and everyone can respond?
I can do that, yeah.
That would be great.
Could I just mention, I would be interested, maybe preceding that meeting, to know to what degree do we want to list everything in the universe as opposed to
Oh, that's
lumping some
That's
stuff?
not the full list.
I know it, but it's full enough. And I don't, it would be useful, I think, going into that, in addition to people saying, I don't think this should be on the list,
Yeah,
to maybe think about possibilities of combining certain the items that are sort of the same thing, so the list doesn't go on forever.
I would recommend that you just put that in your email.
Yeah, that's my point, yes.
So,
Okay.
just put that in your email, we can go from there. If you wanna take something off, put it in the email.
So do you,
I'll just work on it that way.
okay, do you think that we can do, so, I mean, we have a whole month that we can do something kind of, everyone responds via email and he can make adjustments and then we can spend like 20 minutes in the work session reviewing that and making sure we're on track and kind of putting that together and then jump into the subdivision stuff? Is that
Well-
fair to say?
Well, once you get away from the list, there's just not a whole lot changed,
Right.
you know, so really it's the
So it
lists.
should be,
The list is pretty extensive. I mean, I combined different jurisdictions to look at it. So trying to open up opportunities
Thank you.
thank
You're
you.
welcome. For businesses to come in without having to go through a bunch of stuff.
So if we do a lot of pre-work, maybe 10 minutes,
Yeah,
10 to 15.
that's good. Okay,
And then
as
we
long as
move
you
on.
think it's okay putting those two items, we need to jump into that subdivision stuff, so.
It seems like we'll have enough time.
Okay, let's plan that. He'll send out an email. Let's have some response as to items that should be in it. And then prepare to come to the work session ready to,
Will you have a
discuss.
draft of, in other words, instead of starting at ground zero on that, do you have some kind of suggested
yes, for the
thing? So-
subdivision stuff?
Yeah, so we're working on a draft rather than, okay,
Yeah,
good.
I have some stuff I'll send out
Good,
prior to that.
good.
So that we don't start from zero.
Do we can invite Liam to that meeting?
And
Or
that's,
is that
yeah,
necessary?
I just put that on my
Oh,
notes,
did you? Okay,
to possibly invite him. So
okay.
that's perfect. Am I missing anything, Lyle?
I don't think so. What about well, we had a development meeting on Friday, but the guy never showed up.
Yeah, so we didn't
So
hit anything.
there was nothing there.
Okay, I think that rounds it out.
I recommend we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Brandon, second by Greg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Seriously, if I don't write your names on the bottom, I don't remember what they are. Blank, blank, blank.
She's not even that senior.